Ethan paced in his chambers, the flickering fire casting long shadows on the stone walls. Sleep eluded him as it always did after the battles. But tonight, it wasn't the faces of the dead haunting him. It was Alex. The sound of his screams during the ritual echoed in his mind, each one a dagger to his chest. For the first time in years, Ethan allowed himself to think of the past, of the boy who had once shown him kindness. He closed his eyes, and the memories rushed back. Ethan was barely 12 when his world fell apart. His home, the heart of the Bloodmoon clan, was reduced to ashes in a single night. He remembered the fire that had consumed his home, the screams of his parents as they perished. His uncle had taken over the Bloodmoon clan, turning it into a place of cruelty and fear. He had escaped the flames, his body battered, his spirit shattered. Lost and bleeding, he had wandered the forest until his legs gave out. That's when he met the unknown boy, no older than Ethan, had found him lying among the roots of a massive oak tree. The boy had approached slowly, his silver hair glowing like moonlight. Despite not knowing him, he hadn't hesitated to help. "You're hurt," the boy said, his voice soft but resolute. "Stay still. I'll take care of you." Ethan stared at him, too weak to speak. The boy's hands were gentle as he bandaged Ethan's wounds with torn strips of his own tunic. The kindness had been a lifeline in Ethan's darkest moment. But that was a lifetime ago. The boy who had saved him was now the man he had broken, and Ethan hated himself for being the one to break him. But he had no choice. Back then, his uncle wanted to destroy Silverclaw and commanded the attack. And after taking it down, that cruel person wanted to end the bloodline of all the Silverclaw alphas, leaving behind only betas and omegas. But in order to protect his loved one, Ethan suggested otherwise. He said that instead of ending their life, it'll be more pleasurable to play with them, making them suffer. That's how it ended in this way. Alex becoming a captive for the sake of his clan's survival, and subjected to all the humiliations and suffering. To avoid any suspicions of his uncle, Ethan didn't have a choice but to act like he's enjoying all the torment he is giving to Alex. Days turned into weeks, and Alex's hatred for Ethan only grew. The Bloodmoon wolves continued to torment him, constantly reminding him of his fall from power. But Alex refused to break. He endured, clinging to the faint hope that one day he would find a way to free himself and his clan. One evening, while patrolling the outskirts of the territory, Ethan's most trusted wolf, Mark, approached him. Mark was a beta, sharp-eyed and fiercely loyal. He lowered his voice as he spoke. "The preparations are nearly complete, Alpha. We've secured allies among the outer packs. They're ready to move on your command." Ethan nodded, his expression grim. "Good. Keep it quiet. We can't afford any slip-ups." "What about Alex?" Mark asked, glancing toward the camp. "If your uncle catches wind of—" "I'll handle Alex," Ethan interrupted, his tone leaving no room for argument. "He stays out of this." Later that night, Ethan found Alex sitting alone by the fire. His silver hair caught the flickering light, but his posture was rigid, his eyes distant. "Are you here to gloat?" Alex asked without looking up. "No," Ethan said, sitting across from him. "I came to talk." Alex's laugh was sharp and bitter. "You don't talk, Ethan. You command, you destroy. What could we possibly have to talk about?" Ethan hesitated, his maroon eyes searching Alex's face. "I know you hate me. I don't blame you. But there's more going on here than you realize." Alex finally met his gaze, his blue eyes blazing. "Then explain it to me. Tell me why you turned me into this. Why you destroyed my life." Ethan's jaw tightened. "I can't. Not yet." "Coward," Alex spat, standing abruptly. "You're nothing but a coward." Ethan said nothing and walked away, his fists clenched. The truth burned inside him, but he couldn't risk exposing it, not until the time was right. The night of the rebellion arrived, cloaked in silence and shadow. Ethan's loyal wolves struck swiftly, their attacks coordinated and ruthless. They moved through the Bloodmoon camp like specters, taking out guards and securing key positions. The wolves who supported Ethan's uncle fought back fiercely, their snarls and howls tearing through the night. Ethan led the charge, his movements precise and deadly. His maroon eyes glowed with the fire of determination as he cut through his enemies. Every strike brought him closer to his goal, his uncle. Alex, confined to his quarters, sensed the chaos outside. The distant sounds of battle set his heart racing, He knew something was happening, but he didn't know what. Mark burst into Alex's room, his face streaked with blood. "Get up, you're coming with me." Alex narrowed his eyes. "Feels like I don't want to?" Mark grinned, a wild glint in his eyes. "You don't have a choice. Ethan's orders." Reluctantly, Alex followed. They navigated through the chaos, the air thick with the scent of blood and smoke. As they approached the central clearing, Alex's heart sank. Ethan's uncle stood at the center, his massive frame towering over a group of loyal wolves. When Ethan appeared, his uncle's laughter echoed through the clearing. "So, the boy finally shows his fangs. Did you really think you could overthrow me, nephew?" Ethan's voice was calm but deadly. "Your time is over. Step down or I'll make you." The older alpha snarled, baring his teeth. "You're nothing but my weapon. That's why I spared your life and kept you. You'll never be strong enough to lead this clan." The two alphas clashed, their movements a blur of claws and fangs. The fight was brutal, each strike shaking the ground beneath them. Ethan's uncle was stronger, his experience giving him an edge, but Ethan fought with the ferocity of a wolf protecting his pack. In the midst of the battle, Alex spotted an opening. One of Ethan's uncle's wolves lunged toward Ethan's blind side, baring his claws and fangs in a fierce attack. Without thinking, Alex sprang forward, tackling the attacker. Claws sliced across his arm, but he ignored the pain, his instincts taking over. Ethan's eyes flicked to Alex for a split second, a flash of surprise and gratitude breaking through his focus. It was all he needed. With a final, powerful strike, Ethan brought his uncle to the ground, his claws at the older alpha's throat. "Do it," the uncle hissed, blood dripping from his mouth. "Kill me if you think you're strong enough." Ethan hesitated, his breathing ragged. But then he drove his claws deeper, ending his uncle's reign in a single, decisive motion. The sun was rising as the Bloodmoon clan gathered to witness the aftermath. The battle was over, the rebels victorious. Ethan stood before his wolves, his maroon eyes scanning the crowd. The weight of his new role pressed heavily on his shoulders. "I am your alpha now," Ethan declared, his voice steady. "The days of tyranny and bloodlust are over. We will rebuild, not as Bloodmoon or Silverclaw, but as one pack. Together, we are stronger." There were murmurs of uncertainty, but a few wolves stepped forward, their expressions hopeful. Slowly, others followed, their howls of approval growing louder. Alex stood at the edge of the crowd, his arm bandaged from the fight. His blue eyes met Ethan's, and for the first time there was no hatred, only a guarded curiosity. Later, Ethan found Alex by the river. The tension between them was palpable, but Ethan spoke first. "You didn't have to save me." Alex shrugged. "Call it instinct, or stupidity." Ethan chuckled softly, though his expression quickly grew serious. "I owe you an apology, for everything. I had to keep you close, to keep you safe while I worked to bring my uncle down. I know I've hurt you, Alex, more than anyone else, but it was the only way. I never wanted to hurt you," he said. "Everything I did was to protect you, to protect us." Alex stared at him, his blue eyes cold. "And what about my pain, my pride, my identity? You destroyed me." Ethan lowered his head. "I know I can never undo what I've done, but I swear, from this moment forward I will spend every day making it right." Alex stared at him, his emotions warring. Under Ethan and Alex's leadership, the newly formed Eclipse clan flourished. They worked tirelessly to mend the rift between their wolves, forging a pack built on trust and unity. Though the scars of the past remained, they served as reminders of the strength it took to overcome them. One night, as the moon hung low and the forest whispered with the promise of peace, Ethan and Alex stood side by side, their bond unspoken but unbreakable. "You know," Alex said, his lips quirking into a rare smile, "you're not as terrible as I thought." Ethan smirked. "And you're more stubborn than I remembered." They shared a quiet moment under the moonlight. For the first time in years, the howls that rose from the forest were not of pain or war, but of hope. And beneath the eclipsed moon, two hearts beat as one, their pasts behind them and their future stretching endlessly ahead.